Alright guys, today we're here to do a video on Facebook's Connect that just happened yesterday, and I wanted to give you guys my impressions of everything, give you guys all the news that I think you guys need to know about that happened at this Connect, and overall my impressions on some of the stuff that got announced, because there's some things on here that people are not making a bigger deal about that I think are a pretty big deal, because everyone's just focusing on the fact that there wasn't a lot of games here shown right off the bat. But there was some interesting stuff that's coming, and it's not all of it is not coming 10 years from now like a lot of people are saying. So I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on everything that I heard about at Facebook's Connect.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a recce is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so let's talk about the first thing that a lot of people are talking about here, and that is Facebook's name change. So Facebook has now changed its parent company's name to Meta. So M-E-T-A. So there's justification for this, for me at least, makes sense on why they wanted to change it. You know, Facebook, when a lot of people talk about Facebook, Facebook doesn't just make Facebook anymore. They have Instagram, they have the WhatsApp, now they have, you know, VR and Oculus, they have their AR glasses that are coming out in the future project area and stuff like that. So they don't want to be known as the Facebook company because that's just one of their apps. That's one of their applications. So they want to change the name to be Meta. So everything else is, for the most part, we'll get into it in a minute, almost everything else is going to stay the same. So Facebook's website isn't going to change its name. Instagram isn't going to change its name. But the overall arcing company is now going to be called Meta. So basically, Facebook brought to you by Meta. You know, kind of stuff like that. And the reasoning behind it makes sense. Like I said, they need to go away from just being Facebook because they do a lot more things than just Facebook, in my opinion. So obviously, I think the name change makes sense. Whether you like the name or not is a whole different story. I think it sounds fine. Not a big of a deal to me. But what is a bigger deal to people is that in 2022, at some point, Oculus is now going to be dropping its name. And we all kind of knew that this was probably going to come at some point once they bought them. But instead of being called the Oculus Quest, it's now going to eventually be called the Meta Quest. And even though I think Oculus definitely has, you know, the big brand appeal and everyone knows about them already and all that kind of stuff, I think it's, and it doesn't sound as good as Oculus does, that's for sure. It makes sense in a business perspective that they need to change the name because they want to be, you know, this overarching company and they need it to be called a singular thing across their platforms. So I could see why they're dropping the Oculus name, even though I don't like Meta Quest better than I do Oculus Quest. We've all gotten so used to that name. We all love that name. But again, that's up to everyone to decide. I don't like the name change when it comes to the Oculus name because I like Oculus better and I've known it for so long. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change much for me in any way, shape, or form. The other thing that's coming along with that is a lot of their apps in Oculus are also being changed. So we all know Facebook Horizon. I'm in that. I'm in the beta. A lot of people aren't. It's still crazy that a lot more people aren't in there. But those things are also changing. So it's now going to be called Horizon. So the name structure that they're going with for, you know, platforms on the actual Quest or the Meta Quest eventually is going to be Horizon. So it's going to be called Horizon Worlds. And our home environment, when you first turn on the Quest and that's your home area, that is now going to be called Horizon Home. Even venues is now being called Horizon Venues. So a lot of different name changes on there, and I do like that name change. I do like Horizon. I do like Horizon Worlds, where you go in and you explore worlds. Horizon Home is your home. Horizon Venues is where you go to watch concerts and stuff. So that name change I do like, and I do like that they're all being unified under the same brand name. The next big thing that was announced there on, you know, in the Connect there, that a lot of people are not making a bigger deal about than I thought they would, and that is Facebook at some point within the next year is not going to be requiring a Facebook login to your Oculus to be able to use your VR headset, which is what everyone's been asking for, but a lot of people aren't talking about. Now, yes, of course, you're still going to need an account made by quote-unquote Facebook in a sense, because obviously you need an account to use it. So when they make this metaverse that they're talking about, which we'll get into later in the end here, they're probably going to require you to make a new account for the metaverse, whatever way they do it. But it's not going to be linked to your Facebook profile, which is what most people had a problem with because they didn't want to be using the Facebook platform and make some sort of weird comment that Facebook didn't like, be banned on Facebook, and now you're also banned on VR and lose access to all your games. And that was a major issue. So they're not going to be connected anymore, so your social will remain separate for Facebook, and you'll have your own profile, your own identity in the metaverse per se, and you'll be able to use that account. And they say it's going to be, something that they're going to change within the next year. So that's an exciting change, and I think most people are going to be happy about that. Now, for the people who are going to sit there and claim that, like, well, it's still going to be an account that's owned by Facebook. Well, of course, we all knew that going in. If you didn't want to be associated with the company Facebook at all, you should have never bought your Quest to begin with, because the same way Microsoft requires an Xbox account, Steam requires, or Valve requires a Steam account, Facebook or Meta is going to require an account to use your VR. That's obvious. The linking between the social platforms, which was what most people had an issue with, which I agree with, is what the problem was, and it seems that they're rectifying that after hearing all the feedback, so that is good news for all of us. So let's get into some games that they announced here. There wasn't a lot of them, but there were some. The biggest highlight, of course, is that GTA San Andreas is being made for VR, so I'm really, really excited. It's not a brand new GTA, but we're a long ways away in VR for Rockstar Games to make a GTA game specifically for VR. That would take years in the making. VR is just not big enough for that. But the fact that we're getting San Andreas, one of my favorite GTA games, to be fully realized in VR, I can't wait to dive in there and play this game in VR. It's going to be fantastic, and it's definitely the highlight announcement for me as far as games go on there. So that's really, really exciting stuff. The next thing that they did there also is there was a Beat Saber tease as well. You guys can leave your comments down below what you think this tease is. The fact that I see a custom lightsaber, to me, makes it seem like maybe we will finally be able to level up in Beat Saber. So you reach level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and as you level up by playing songs and playing online and stuff, you'll unlock different customizations like sabers. I think that would be a great change. Would keep people interested to play Beat Saber more, to have a level up system that is also attached to getting customization items. So if that's what it ends up being, I'm all here for it. The next thing that they also announced, not a new game, but a game that's been around on the PC, Blade and Sorcery, a game that a lot of people love on the PC, is being brought over to the Oculus Quest platform, and that is going to be releasing here shortly this year, so that's exciting stuff. And they also announced that Vertigo Games, the ones who are coming out with After You Fall, that's coming out in December, they have announced that they are releasing 5 games. Now, obviously, this is over the next years to come, but they are basically announcing that they're going to make 5 new games for the Oculus Quest, so we're going to be seeing a lot of games from them here on out in the future, which is exciting to get more games from them because their games are usually pretty solid. And it's exciting to see that they've worked with Facebook and they have some sort of obligation or path that they're going to at least release 5 more games in VR, which is awesome stuff. So that's kind of it for gaming on there. It was definitely light on gaming content, but I knew that kind of going in that this wasn't going to be focused a lot on games, even though there was some game stuff in there, because they have their own platform now, their own event that they do like somewhere around April or May timeframe for Oculus Gaming, where they're going to make those gaming announcements. And that's a show focused all on gaming. This show is focused on the overall platform of what VR is and where it's going, and Facebook and all that, to give us an insight of what the future could hold. So I'm not surprised and I'm not disappointed by that. We all want to see more games, but the fact that we got a huge announcement like GTA San Andreas and we got some other things coming, I'm really excited about those. And I know that I'm not the only one to feel this way, but just to go on a little bit of a rant here, sometimes I see people say like, oh, like Facebook needs to, announce more games. I want dates and I want that, I want that. And listen, I get it. I want dates too. I think they need to do a better job of announcing dates ahead of time to get people excited, kind of like the major console players do. But to say that like VR doesn't have games to play, like maybe you can say there's not a lot of 40+ hour games like there is on consoles. That's fine if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But there's plenty of games that I've played this year, and I've made a ton of videos on them showcasing them on this channel, that I have plenty to play on the Quest. Will I like bigger games to show up? Will I like more games to show up? Obviously so. But I still have plenty of games that I play on my Quest all the time that I have a lot of fun with, and they're always releasing games, whether it may not be the biggest brand names of all that we all want, but there's always new games, and a lot of them are really fun to play. When you go into the weekly releases, there's usually a release every week at least, and usually the games are pretty fun to play. Not every game is a home run, but a lot of them are a lot of fun to play. So when people try and tell me that there's not enough VR games on the Quest, I think they're crazy and wrong. If you want to go down the conversation that they need bigger games by bigger titles, that we all know by brand name, that's fine. But to say that there's not good games on the Quest and there's not enough releasing, there's a ton of stuff releasing all the time, a lot of variety. So rant over about that. The next thing that they announced, which I actually think is pretty cool, it's actually available on the Quest now, is 2D apps being brought over to the Quest. So the ones that they've already released are things like Facebook and Instagram. So basically, you can open up these 2D apps while you're in VR and kind of check your Facebook, check on Instagram and stuff. And the theory behind this is that they're going to let, obviously, more third-party developers put their stuff on there. So being able to access your files from like OneDrive, or being able to access applications and cloud services while you're in VR, to be able to let you use more 2D apps that obviously don't make sense in VR. You're not going to create a Facebook application in VR. Like, what even is that? It would just be a 2D website. So being able to use these 2D apps and not have to take your VR headset off and kind of check your Facebook, check your Instagram, or check Twitter, whatever the case may be, is really cool, and I like it, and it does work really well. I've been using it already with Facebook and Instagram, and it's cool that they're bringing 2D apps into VR when they make sense to be 2D apps, so we can get more use out of our VR, especially when it comes to work environments, as we get more into using VR for, you know, office-related stuff and work-related stuff. The more 2D apps that make sense to be in there is great. Something else we got to go back to here that I'm really, really excited about, and people have been asking for also for this all the time and are not making a big deal about this, but I'm really, really excited, is we talked about before how Horizon's the new name for, you know, the applications on the Quest, and now it's going to be Horizon Home, the environment that you get as soon as you log into your Quest and stuff. That's basically just been a static image, can't invite friends over or any of that stuff, and you just launch your apps and you're on your way. Well, they announced that soon, whatever soon may be, we're going to be able to finally allow our friends to come into our Oculus Home, have chats with them, talk to them, you know, watch shows with them, TV and videos with them, they said, and be able to go into other apps right from your home environment and play together. So that's something that we've been asking for a while, and that should be coming soon, and I'm really, really excited to dive into how that's all going to work. And they also said that not at the beginning, so in the beginning we're not going to be able to customize our homes, but we're going to eventually be able to customize our homes where, you know, every home's going to be different, where it can represent you, which I'm even more excited about, because that's exactly what we want. We want to not only have those features of inviting our friends over and watching videos with people and our friends and stuff like that, but we want to be able to customize our homes. I really like the fact that they went back in the day and basically let you unlock things for your home for the game. So a game, if you unlock an achievement, will give you a customizable item to show off in your home, stuff like that. And I really like that, and I hope that that's something that they bring into when they do the customization in the homes. But I'm really, really excited for all of that, and it's not that far away. You know, we're getting the starting point soon, and I would imagine within the next year we get the more customization stuff where you can customize your home. So I'm excited to see where the future holds for that. The next thing that's a pretty big deal that they announced as well, that we all have been asking for as well, is actual cloud storage for every game you play. So sometimes we have to reset our Quest because we have to factory reset it for whatever the issue may be. We have to uninstall a game, and if that game didn't support cloud saving because they needed to actually support it and put it in there, we would lose our save and have to start the game all over again, which was terrible. Now they're doing cloud storage where all the games are enabled by default, unless if for some reason the devs turn that off. I don't know why they would, but all games are going to have cloud storage, so you're not going to have any issues with playing your games if you have to factory reset your Quest or get a new Quest or move to another one, which is fantastic news and a really exciting feature to see. Now, one of the biggest things that they announced on there is we did get a new hardware thing. I don't know why I see some people on Twitter saying we got no hardware news. I don't know what they're talking about, because this is basically what I thought a Quest Pro would be, and that's Project Cambria. And even though it's not a Quest Pro by name, it's basically what a Pro model of the Quest line would be. So basically what this is if you think about the Quest being, you know, their consumer market where they want to hit a $300 price point, and then you look at Project Cambria, it's going to be their headset for the pro consumer market. People who want to be at the cutting edge. People like you and me probably watching videos like this. Like, I want to be at the cutting edge. I want to see, you know, the technology that they put into these VR headsets. It's going to, of course, be at a higher price point. So that's why they're going to call this line basically two lines. There's going to be the Quest line that's going to be for the consumer market, and then the Project Cambria that's going to be more the advanced line, the pro market, as you would say, where they're going to put technologies in there that they can't just fit into the Quest line because they want to keep continuing to hit that $300 price point, and they can't do that with these technologies yet. And one thing, they didn't announce a lot on the Project Cambria. It was only on screen for literally a minute, which was unfortunate because I wish they went more into detail, but it is coming next year at some point, so that's exciting to look forward to. They did announce that the VR, the optics and the lenses are going to be obviously higher resolution, but the big thing that they're talking about is you're going to be able to, you know, there are going to be sensors on there to look at your facial features, so they'll be able to see where your eyes are looking and capture that, capture your mouth, capture all your facial features. So it's going to be a great thing for social VR apps and stuff like that. And, you know, even though this isn't a Quest product, it's still going to be a Quest product in my mind because you're going to be able to play Quest games on it. You're going to be able to do everything on it with just these extra functionality on top of it, like higher resolution lenses and and the facial features and stuff like that with all those sensors. So in a sense, it's a Quest Pro model without the name, so I don't know why people aren't seeing it that way, but that's exactly what it is, and I can't wait to buy that headset next year when it releases. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the idea of what Facebook talked about for a majority of this show, and that is the metaverse and what they want to build that in the future. Now, this is really exciting stuff, but this is where they come into the territory where this is obviously over the next 10 years. This is not something we're going to see next year. This is what they see the metaverse looking like 10 years from now. And they go into a lot of stuff on here, but basically the metaverse is what they think about, being the whole entire thing. And they want it to be an open platform. They don't want it to be closed off. They're saying they need the platform to be open because they don't want people to, they talk a lot about economy, and they want people and developers to build items in there. So you can own a digital piece of good to show off in your Oculus home. And you want to be able to buy that good, but you don't want it to be tied to anything. You want that good to be yours. So it can't just be one person owning it like Facebook. They want the metaverse to be, all companies in there, and the metaverse is just one giant thing, and all the companies are working together, and no matter where you buy that digital piece, you own it anywhere you go. And that's kind of what they stress. They want the economy, in order for the economy to work, you need to own that digital good. Developers need to be incentivized to build things. And there's a lot of cool stuff that they showed, but again, this is so far away that it's hard to be that excited about because, they showed what that VR future can look like, as you're seeing here with the videos that they showed, with the economy stuff and what the metaverse can look like in the future and what things can look like and how exercising is going to look like in the future in the metaverse and what gaming is going to look like in the metaverse in the future and what AR and VR can do for both of those at the same time, which is interesting stuff, where you can be playing somebody from halfway across the world and their AR body is kind of sitting in front of you and you're watching their movements. All that stuff is interesting, and all these videos that you're seeing now are fantastic, but it's a ways off. But I'm really, really excited that Facebook is really concentrating on going into the metaverse because, we all want Ready Player One in VR, and this is obviously what they're gearing towards. And they're building the foundation now with what we're seeing on the Quest and stuff, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for that. So that is kind of a summary of the things that I wanted to talk about that got shown off at the Facebook Connect. I'm sure, if you guys want to watch that hour and 25-minute video, you can. But this kind of summarizes the main points of what happened in there and some of the videos that they showed off on there that I thought you guys would be interested in. And to clarify some things that I wanted to get off my shoulder that people were talking about, that, there wasn't enough games or blah, blah, blah. We all knew that going in. If you expected a lot of games, I don't know why you were expecting that. But for the people who were going crazy out there being like, oh, they didn't announce a new Quest 2 or Quest Pro or Quest whatever. I basically think they did. It might not be the Quest line, but it's a pro headset with more features, higher resolution and stuff. And isn't that what the Quest 2 Pro would basically be? Quest 2 Pro may still happen at some point down the line, but for me, the Quest is for consumers, and it's going to stick at that $300 price point, and then this new Project Cambria is going to be for the higher market. I would assume it's going to come along the $500-$600 mark, and it's going to include these extra features, and it's going to stay on that line until they move those features over to the Quest line when they can hit that price point, and then they'll introduce new features on the more pro-consumer market, and kind of vice versa, do that over and over again. And I think that's a great way to do it, and that's basically what I would want. I want a Quest headset that everyone can afford, and then I want a Pro one that us enthusiasts want to get the latest and newest features that they can cram in there. So I'm excited for next year when that comes out. And I'm excited for all the other stuff that they announced here, and I can't wait to see what games come out in 2022. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions about what you guys saw in today's video, as always, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.